Hello friends, and welcome back to another episode of Spilling Studio. My name is Sam, and this week we have 7 new ARE practice questions designed to help you pass your next exam. There's 1 question per exam topic and a bonus question at the end, so stick around. Starting us off is practice management. An architect is reviewing the owner-architect agreement with the owner for the design of a new library for a local town. The architect notes the required consultants for the project. Who is responsible for hiring the geotechnical engineer? The owner, the architect, the contractor, the structural engineer, or the AHJ? Feel free to pause here to answer. The answer is owner. The geotechnical engineer is retained by the owner. This is stated in AIA document B101 under Owner Responsibilities, section 5.5. But what does a geotechnical engineer do? They go to the site to take boring samples that they analyze to provide us designers with the burying capacity of the soil. They can also run percolation tests, look for hazardous materials, provide a seismic evaluation, and many other similar tests that tell us about the subsoil conditions. This geotechnical report is typically provided by the owner before design starts or in the very early stages of design. We use this to see where to place the building on the site, and the structural engineer will use this information to size the footings, determine the footing depth, and the type of slab to use. So it's very important that we get this report early on in the project. Now on to project management. The City of Stuart just completed the construction of a new fire station for $5 million. The City of Winter Lake is planning on constructing the exact same building. The published cost index identifies the index of 1200 for the construction in the City of Stuart and an index of 1450 in the City of Winter Lake. This same index estimates inflation will increase to 4% by the time the fire station for the City of Winter Lake is completed. Approximately how much does the City of Winter Lake budget for their fire station? $5 million? $5,200,000? $6,050,000? $6,295,000? or $6,415,000? Pause here to answer. And the answer is $6,295,000. The way they show how to solve for this in the textbooks is to figure out the cost index factor first. So we take the cost index of City of Winter Lake and divide that by the index for the City of Stuart, which gives us 1.21. We then take our 1.21 cost index factor and multiply that by the cost in the City of Stuart of $5 million, and we get $6,050,000. But we're not done yet. We still have to factor for inflation. Once we multiply by 4%, we end up with $6,292,000. So our closest answer is $6,295,000. Now, this is the way I would have solved it. I'm not sure what this is called, but I would have set these up as fractions and cross-multiplied them and then accounted for inflation. I suppose it's essentially the same thing, but my brain remembers this way better, so whichever works best for you, do that. Now on to programming and analysis. A small city is looking to build a small convention center to host local events and conventions. Which public works financing method will be most appropriate to use to fund the project? Ad valorem tax, public enterprise bond, general obligation bond, or tax increment financing? Pause here to answer. And the correct answer is public enterprise bond. A public enterprise bond is issued by cities to fund revenue-producing public facilities. The bond is paid off as the facility generates money. So in this scenario, as the convention center hosts events, the city can use money that they receive from renting the space out to pay off the bond. Our other options were not quite right for this situation. An ad valorem tax is a tax that is based on the value of an asset. Ad valorem is Latin for according to value. So this kind of tax is typically used for property taxes, which are based on the assessed value of the property. A general obligation bond is typically used to fund public capital facilities like schools and libraries. They are not revenue-generating facilities. This type of bond is repaid by increasing property taxes, so issuing these requires the approval of voters. And finally, tax increment financing is used by cities for improvements that will encourage developers to build in the area and in turn increase property taxes. The city makes a special district for improvements, taxes are frozen at their assessed value for a set time, the area is redeveloped, and then taxes are reassessed. The funds from the higher taxes are used to pay off the bonds used for the redevelopment. Once the bonds are paid off, the increased tax revenue goes to the city's general fund. Next up is project planning. An architect is designing a dormitory with 150 beds. The goal of these dorms rooms is to make the students self-sufficient so they are better prepared when leaving school. The university would like to have an HVAC system that permits each student to control the temperature in their dorm, that is quiet, and that requires minimal maintenance. Which type of system would be the most appropriate? Package terminal units, fan coil terminal units, single duct constant air volume, variable air volume. Pause here to answer. And the correct answer is variable air volume. For questions like this, where you have to pick a system or material, list out all of the qualities the item needs to meet and evaluate your options based on that list. For this question, they want an HVAC system that has temperature control, is quiet, and is low maintenance. Package terminal units and fan coil units do allow for temperature control, but they are not the most quiet and they require a good amount of maintenance. Single duct constant air volume systems are quiet and easy to install and maintain, but they do not allow for individual temperature control. And that leaves us with our correct answer, variable air volume. This system is the best choice because it allows for individual temperature control, is quiet, and requires minimal maintenance. A quick pause here to remind you that I post new questions every week, so please hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on a video. It also really helps me out, so thank you. Moving on to project development. An architect is selecting a type of fire-rated gypsum board for a new laboratory. Which of the following fire-rated gypsum board classifications provide the highest level of fire protection? Type X, Type C, Type F, or Type G? Pause to answer. And the answer is Type C. We can knock two of these out right away, since there is no Type F or Type G classification. So let's take a look at Type X and Type C. Type X is made from gypsum that has non-combustible glass fibers, which increase its fire protection to 45 minutes to 1 hour. This type of board is typically used at firewalls, shaft walls, and stairwell walls. Type C is an enhanced Type X gypsum board. It was developed to reduce the number of layers of Type X needed in multi-layered fire-rated assemblies. Type C is typically used in horizontal applications like ceilings to roofs, floor to ceiling, and horizontal shaft wall assemblies. It is important to note that Type C is not defined by ASTM, but is used to identify a particular manufacturer's product by underwriters' laboratories. There's really no industry-defined special fire-resistant board beyond Type X, since it meets the minimum requirements by ASTM C1396. while enhanced panels like Type C have been evaluated and approved to be used in more challenging constructions due to their superior fire-resistant qualities, these panels are technically still Type X by definition, since they meet the minimum requirements of ASTM. Now, this is a bit detailed of an explanation for a test question, but I just wanted to let you guys know, when you're in the office, I really doubt that you'll get a question that's this picky on your ARE. But if you have an option between Type X and Type C on your exam, just know that Type C is a better fire resistive gypsum board. Next is construction evaluation. An architect is visiting the construction site of a new elementary school. During the site visit, they noticed materials were installed that were not originally specified. According to AIA document A201, what must happen before the work can be stopped? The owner must provide written notice to the contractor to stop the work. The contractor must provide evidence that the materials are equal to those specified within 7 days. The architect must provide written notice of intent to stop the work within 7 days. The architect must immediately notify the contractor of the discrepancy and stop the work. Pause here to answer. The answer is the owner must provide written notice to the contractor to stop the work. We've got another contract question. This one is referencing A201, general conditions of the contract for construction. Let's first look at whether or not the contractor is able to make substitutions in the first place. Section 3.4.2 notes the contractor is able to make substitutions, but only with consent of the owner and evaluation of the architect with the use of a change order or construction change directive. So they can't just substitute materials without letting anyone know, like they did in our question. So now what happens? Well, as noted in section 2.4, the owner can stop the work, but the owner must give the contractor a written order. Then the work will stop until the issue has been resolved. In this case, when either the architect and owner review and approve the substitute material, or the contractor removes the unapproved substitution and installs the originally specified material. And finally, our bonus question is, the walls of a library gift shop are painted in a warm burnt orange. What type of lighting should the architect specify for the best overall color rendering and to accent the orange walls? Incandescent, cool white fluorescent, warm white fluorescent, daylight. Pause here to answer. And the correct answer is incandescent. Incandescent lights are great for color rendering. What is color rendering? Well, it refers to the ability of a light source to accurately represent the colors of an object in comparison to a natural light source or daylight. This is quantified by the Color Rendering Index, or CRI, on a scale from 0 to 100. A CRI of 100 indicates the light source renders colors most similarly to natural daylight. Incandescent lights also have a warmer color rendition, so they are a great choice for orange walls. They are also inexpensive, easy to dim, and compact. The main disadvantages with this bulb are the low efficacy, short lamp life, and high heat output. And our incorrect answers, warm white fluorescent lamps, would have been the next best choice, but their color rendering is not quite as accurate. However, the owner might prefer this lamp over the incandescent lamps when considering other factors. Daylight and cool fluorescent lights give off a bluish tone and would make the orange look grayer instead of enhancing the color. That wraps up our questions for this week. Remember to check out the description for links to some of the AIA contracts covered in this video. I've also linked some of my favorite study books, so go check those out. Let me know in the comments what subject areas you're struggling with, and I'll do my best to cover it in the next video. Thank you all for joining, please subscribe, and good luck on your next exam. You got this!